Dude, how do you look so goddamn cool every day? Look at this guy.
You know, usually I pick out my outfits in the morning or at night before I go to bed. But I didn't this morning, that's why I'm late. But
You're like that kid before school, like placing his little outfit out there for the first day.
I do that every morning, but only on important days, like today.
Why is today an important day?
I get to talk to you, John.
I mean, honestly, I got to give it to you. That jacket is sick. It is like Persian rug. Took it right off the ground, fit it perfectly to your body.
Yeah, I know.
It looks
and then
amazing.
my glasses match my pants.
God, see, like that.
And then my shirt matches my shoes.
But how do you think about all the matching and shit? I'm just like black and it's done.
I know. I've seen that a lot lately.
Dude, look at me.
It just comes natural.
Look at this.
It just comes natural, you know.
Look at this. I wore this for you. I bought this shirt just for you.
No, it's a great shirt. Maybe get a different color every now and then. Maybe some different color pants and shoes and
no, because then I don't have to think about it.
It's not your vibe. I get it. Let's move on from that maybe because, you know.
It's kind of hard to move on.
But for those that would like to know where the jacket is from, they probably don't make it anymore. Cotton On. This is sponsored by Cotton On. No, wait. It's not Cotton On.
Urban Outfitters?
Urban Outfitters.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. Are you stupid? But anyway. So I wanted to go into something a little different today. We've been doing a lot of talking about business, but I don't think we've gone much into you and your business, and you have all these videos of what you're doing, all your projects, all the fun things that you do, but we haven't actually, I'd be curious, and I think everybody else would be curious to know, how do you get into being in construction? Because I know whenever we first met, 7 years ago?
Yeah.
You tried it. You were doing like the remodeling thing with Tim Heil. I think that went well for a little bit, and then you kind of went off on your own and had to kind of start fresh. I worked for D.R. Horton as a project manager, but that's more corporate.
I forgot about that.
And I hated that. I was like pulling up in my Steve Madden shoes. Listen, I was driving a Chrysler. I pulled up in a Chrysler 300.
Oh my God, you would have the freaking Walmart Bentley, wouldn't you?
I've had two of them.
Oh, honestly, they kind of look clean.
They, compared to my 05, yeah. My 05 had that glass black exhaust, or what are they called? Glass backs?
Yeah.
The exhaust? Yeah. It was insane. It was like a race car. But anyway, pulled up in my Steve Maddens and my tight jeans and a 300 my first day of work.
Were they just ripping on you or what?
No, because I was I'm the cool guy.
You're like, people don't rip on me.
But I was actually really, really good at that. But what I was doing was I was doing the punch outs. So like from, it was like from before toilets go in all the way to completion, I was walking every house, 30 houses a day, writing down all the things that needed to be done, all of the touch-ups for texture, drywall, paint, missing toilets or cabinets or countertops or floors or everything. So I got really interior, exterior. So I got really good at doing walkthroughs and writing it all down. And then when I was done, I had to go back at the end of the day and call all of these trades, trade by trade, and put all these punch items on their plate to be scheduled. And then I'd wait a day, and then the next day I'd go back out there and check off the list of everything that needed to be done. I was really good at it for $40,000 a year.
Oh my God.
So I remember when there were so many times, and I hope they hear this, there were so many times where I was sitting in a closet of a home that was basically done. It was carpeted, ready to basically go. I would just sit there and sleep because I had nothing to do. So I hated that job. So I quit.
That's
8 months
hilarious.
later, then I got into real estate. But I want to know more about you, because I never got into construction. I just switched to the sales side, real estate, because I like that better. But obviously you're in it, and now you're deep in it. Now you're doing really crazy projects like the $1 million pool. But how did it all start?
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because like a lot of people, like, I always tell people, it's like, if you look at like a pro athlete and you're like, oh God, like how are you doing this? Like at the very highest level and all this stuff, like it seems like it's impossible, but that's not where it starts, right? For anything. You start in like Pee-wee when you're younger, right? And now you can jump in at any time, but like for me, after I graduated college, I mean, I played football at Rice and like I had this big like hole of like that competitive drive, like being a gladiator, like out there every day. And it was just this like big thing, like missing from my life. And then me and one of my teammates from Rice, we started getting into homes and like buying, cheap rentals basically. And we had a mentor who also played at Rice, and he owned like a couple hundred homes, and just like kind of talking to him and like thinking about like, man, I really love homes, and I love like fixing stuff up, like taking something from like, a crappy, like shitty product and making it into something that someone can live in, right? But what's cool is like it started at the very lowest level. We were buying homes for like 35 grand a pop in 2012.
And how old were you?
I was like 21.
How'd you get the money for that? Because
Well,
you ended up buying 20 properties. How were you able to buy that many? I mean, 30 grand isn't a lot for a house.
yeah.
But when you add them all up,
Well, and that's the other cool thing is like you don't have to buy 30 at one time.
Right.
That's how everyone looks at everything.
Yep.
When you buy one and then you fix it up and then you have the rent roll, then you can refinance that and then get another. But my partner went to the NFL, and same with our mentor. So he had some money, and then we kind of just scraping together 35 grand wasn't that much. And then the thing is, on these houses, like we had a rule, like we would never spend more than 20K on a reno.
Sure.
And I mean, that's just absolutely insane. You can't even like
fix a toilet for that.
yeah, like it's literally a hall bathroom. If we were to just do by itself, would be like 30 to 50K. Just one bathroom.
That's
now.
why I don't use you.
You can't afford me.
Yeah,
but no, but like so the first house, like me nor my partner knew what we were doing. Like I was a poli-sci major. I was in law school at the time. So right after I got out of college, I went into law school, and then we started buying houses. Mm-hmm. My partner was an econ major, and he was kind of playing real estate agent and doing due diligence and putting numbers together. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'll like be the general contractor. Didn't know what even that fucking meant. But what's cool about rentals is like the barrier to entry is so low, and then you're not like when you're doing them cheap, you're not worried about some crazy loan with hard money that's like running the clock every day. And then you're also not worried about the pressure of selling it on the back end.
Right.
You just have to make it livable.
Yep.
So, and we were doing Section 8 rentals too. So like they didn't need to be like super pretty. They needed to be safe and habitable. So like the first one had like a bad foundation. And I was like, just found a company. I had my mentor to get some contacts, but then like I just bothered the people and I learned all this stuff. I was like, oh, piers and on the interior. And if you look at cracks in the ceiling, if they go linear, they mean this, or if they come out of the corner, and like, so then you just learn a little thing. And then the next house had like bad plumbing, and then we had to like chip the drain lines and put in PVC, and then like, bad wiring, and then a bad roof. And then like, so like each house I would learn something new. And then before we knew it, we had like 10 homes. And I was like, damn.
What are those homes worth now? Because that was 10 years ago, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, they're each
on average.
I would say about $250 to $350 each.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean.
And then talk to me about what you were able to do with those real estate assets. How you were able to leverage them to move up.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, like what we kind of did was, our plan was like keep half of them unlevered, and then like leverage the other half. So basically, after we got the first one, I think we did like 2 or 3 all cash. And these are like 50 to 60 grand total
all
each.
In. Yeah.
And then after that, I think once we got like our third home, then we looked at just refinancing all 3. And then, then you get 80% out of that, leave the 20% in, and then with that 80%, you can go out and buy 5 more.
Rinse and repeat.
And then you have, then you have 8 homes, and then you can refinance that. And then, now we have like 30 something, and then a couple apartment complexes, and basically, the value of all that is a few $1,000,000 or more. And what else is cool is now we almost have like this revolving kind of process where we lever the homes, we buy more stuff, and then we refinance. Just making sure that we're like the debt's not getting too high. But what's awesome is we bought multiple properties. We bought an apartment complex that we didn't have to put any money up for.
You just leveraged your assets.
Yes, and then we bought a big lot here in Austin, which is like an Airbnb right now.
Yep.
And then we're looking at more and more stuff. But
explain that process. I think a lot of people want to know, when you own a certain amount of real estate that have equity in the home, Explain that refinance process and how the bank looks at it and how they structure that loan for you, to where you can even put 0% down.
Well,
is it just a collateralized loan on the asset?
Yeah, exactly. And basically, I mean, if we have, let's say, just take that one house for 50 or 60 grand, if that gets appraised at 100, we just came up with $40,000. And yeah, they'll only give you 80% of that, but still, now multiply that as you get bigger, and then as the years go, like once like all this crazy COVID and all this stuff and housing prices soared, then they're going to appraise them all on the value that they are, and then you basically, it's like you're getting the equity of almost selling the house while you get to keep it.
So they're able to package all of your real estate into like one kind of big appraisal and say this is the equity that you have on all of these assets, and so now you can leverage that equity to then go buy your apartment complex, which is what you did.
Well, and what else is even more beautiful is that since they're all rented out, the rents are paying for the payments of the loan.
And that was my other question, because you're leveraging the equity, but does that so you do a refinance on the equity to get you to cash out, right?
Yeah.
And so now your monthlies are going up. Did that cause any problems?
I mean, it does a little bit, because what sucks is like it's like when everything was like soaring and interest rates were low, like we were crushing it. And now those appraised values are still high, but now the values have come down, the rents have gone down, and interest rates are high. So now it's like, they make you put all your payments in escrow. So there's like all these escrow overages that we have to pay to catch back up. And it's pretty fucking annoying, because they're just trying to pay the taxes on the houses, but we're like, I mean, we're going to protest all that, but it doesn't come to fruition. Sure. So that you can get in a little trouble, but you just want to make sure that you're not biting off more than you can chew. And the banks always make sure of that too.
Yeah, they aren't going to finance you otherwise.
But yeah, and I mean, like the rentals and stuff are really cool, and I think it's a good way. Like everyone's like, man, I want to do my first flip. I want to do my first development. Like I want to do a spec home, and I'm like, bro, like, have you done a remodel before?
I mean, also market conditions are like the most important thing to think about when you do that.
Yeah.
Especially if it's your first time.
Yeah, and it's like, so I just tell people, like, buy the shittiest rental home you can. Buy a fucking mobile home and renovate it. And you are going to learn so damn much on like how to do all of this, right? And then, so it's like start at that level. Just try not to lose money, because there's no school for this, really. You can get
all those seminars that are bullshit.
Yeah, right. And those are all just people trying to get your money and like sign up for my course. And
so
blah, blah, blah.
what they need is they need to find someone like similar to you that has the contacts at least of the vendors, who's a nice guy and is willing to share, and then they can go find their projects and at least.
Well, yeah, and I mean having a mentor is like always great, right? But even so, if you're just a savvy person, dude, there is great tradesmen out there everywhere. Sure. You can get on Facebook, they have groups, they have development groups to join, they have like all these investor groups, so there's like all these resources. But then to me, it was like the rentals are fun, but they're not sexy. You know what I mean? Like that's when I bought my first personal home in like, this was like 2013. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to like renovate this myself and I'll be the GC. And I subbed it all out. And, I think I spent like $150K. And for me, that was like a lot at the time, doing like 20K renovations. But it came out awesome and everyone loved it. And like now I still own it. It's a badass Airbnb. I mean, I bought it for like $300K. It's, like my mortgage, interest, taxes, like $2,000.
So you're
and
like
my best month on Airbnb was like $20,000. So it was like another just like great thing,
Yeah.
And that gave me more confidence to be like, okay, like I kind of know what I'm doing, which if you look back, I didn't know jack shit compared to now.
Sure.
Then I started working for some clients where I would work with like an investor and I did all the design. I selected every material in the house. I bought everything and it was like a flip. And I think our very first one with an investor made like $5,000. And he was like, dude, what the fuck? That was like a big waste of time. And I was like, well, we made some money,
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, and that was a huge learning experience.
Right.
And then in all of that, and then in law school, and I'm about to take the bar, and then I meet freaking Tim Heil, and then we just both got together like two rocket ship, like huge personalities.
Yep.
And he's like, let's take over the world and be the biggest home builder in the nation. And then they, with all their big money, they backed me and then moved to Austin, and that's where I met you in the Heil group. And then we started buying. I mean, they bought like a bunch of properties. We had like 5 or 6 properties. We had like 4 in Terrytown. My first project was a commercial quadplex here. And the thing about that is like the Austin building code is like the professional fucking like leagues where like Houston is like little league. It's a joke. Like
I've heard that.
you can get permits in 2 weeks there.
I have some construction guys in Houston. Like it's a joke. You don't even need to worry about it.
And it's like, dude, we got to, for our whole apartment complex, it was paperwork. That was it. I didn't have to submit plans like to do this massive like renovation. But anyways, I'm like, okay, if I could go to law school and learn all this bullshit, I could learn about the Austin building code.
Sure.
And what was cool is I was backed by someone else. It was their money. But that quadplex, it was 4 separate permits. There's all these crazy rules of like fire codes since they're all connected. Like it's like apartments, There's like full mainline sprinklers. Like it was just like an absolute crash course into Austin. And it was fucking perfect. I learned how Austin works inside and out on basically a commercial project, one of the highest grades. And then my freaking plumber, my welder, my electrician, HVAC, my framer, all those same guys I still work with.
That's wild.
From my very first project.
I think that's a good learning lesson too, because I had the same experience with Sprout Realty. I raised $300,000, started Sprout. And the person that I raised the money from was someone who was very successful, built now probably billion-dollar companies, and I was expecting him to be very active in the business to help me grow, and it turned out he ended up being very passive, which, looking back, I'm super grateful for, because I was able to do basically what you did, where you have to learn and figure it out yourself, which is going to make you a much better operator of your business versus just being told what to do. Would it have been nice to like have someone in the back of my ear that says, hey, don't do it that way, because it's not going to work? Yeah, but like there's a huge benefit to failing and learning through that to help you. And honestly, whenever you become successful doing it that way, it just feels so much better, because you really did it yourself and you really had to figure it out the hard way, which it sounds like you did.
You know what I'm so glad you brought up, though? It's so funny, because in the same way, I'm like, dude, these guys are like billionaires. This is my ticket. Like, I thought it was my meal ticket. These guys are going to take me all the way. And they were so fucking busy that they didn't do shit. Like, they were just there financially. And then that's what's the funniest part, is everyone is looking for this like missing piece that they can latch onto that's going to take them there, when it's you. Like, what's so funny is I didn't really need them. I could have done it all on my own, but all the fear of the unknown is what like was preventing me, right? But of course, on the other hand, it was really nice to learn on someone else's dime.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But the lesson here is that you can do it on your own. Like you just said, you had no help. You figured it out. Mm-hmm. That's the way to do it. If I learned one thing from Gary Keller, it's fail forward.
Yep.
It's just like continue to push. And then basically that's what I did. And what was cool is, I learned all that stuff on someone else's dime. Like, that took a lot of stress off me, at least worrying about the financial stuff. But then, I mean, dude, it was like probably just a little over a year since I moved my whole family here, bought a freaking house in Austin, had my 6-month-old daughter, my wife, and then they were like, this was like 2017, the market hit a plateau, and they were like, the Austin market's crashing. We're selling out of everything. Mm-hmm. And then we sold, dude, we had like 4 lots in Terrytown that we were hoping the end goal of finishing the house and selling it was 1.5 for the end goal sales price. Can you imagine? So like, they were wrong, but I think, that's fine, because I'm so glad, because then we shut everything down. I was like out of a job. I still had my investment stuff, but that wasn't making money. It was all going back into the business. And then I started Revent, and I was just like, fuck it. I'm going to just do all this shit on my own. I just figured all this out. It was fun. I fucking loved it. Like creating like chicken salad from chicken shit was amazing. And then basically, while I was like, I was posting on Facebook about like all these little like developments we were doing in the quadplex, and then like all of like my friends and family and extended network like in Austin were like, hey man, like come do my bathroom, come do my kitchen. I'm like, nah, we're not set up for that. Like, we're developing stuff. And, you know, I kind of like just didn't have time for it. But then when I started Revent, I called every single one of those people and worked for like, you know, different colleagues and people that I just met. And I think my first job was like a $5,000 master bath.
Sure.
You know, which is like, dude, our showers are like 30 grand for a shower now, you know? So like, basically, I did that and then just kept moving from job to job and doing little stuff here and there. And then I started paying for leads on like Home Advisor. And
Oh
then,
my God, I hated Home
oh,
Advisor.
dude.
I did that for landscaping.
Home Advisor sucks.
God, they suck.
Balls. And they had a class action lawsuit.
I hope they're listening right now.
They had a class action lawsuit. They're like fucking bankrupted and
Good.
because there was such
They got
a
bought out by
scam.
Angie's List.
Oh yeah.
So now Angie, it's called Angie now, owns Home Advisor.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what?
Anyway.
That's another thing though. Is like, I did get work from it.
Yeah, no,
and it was
I
a
did
lot of
too.
shitty bullshit, and I was probably way overpaying for leads and stuff. But that's another way to like get in and start getting your own business, and then referrals start working for you, and then you just learn like, oh man, like I need a really good website and a portfolio, and then like, you know, start doing SEO, and then we worked on this one project of like a contractor fucked over this client in Zilker, so they didn't have much money to finish it out, and like for me, it was like a $250,000 job, and I was like, wow, this is big. This would be like a 1 million plus job now for us.
Sure.
But I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And it was with a great architect, Harmony Grogan with Pluck Architecture in Zilker. Super fucking cute house. Like, you know, a bunch of trials and tribulations. I didn't make much money on it, but then it turned out so good. I put it up for like an award in NARI, National Association of the Remodeling Industry, and it won in Austin.
Wow.
And then it was like, people started hearing about me, and then before I knew it, I had a 500K job, and then you know, just continuing further in my development groups, I got my first project over $1 million, and I was like ecstatic. I mean, and it is a massive job. Like I said, it'd probably be, you know, 2.5 million
Right now.
at our standard. But that's the thing is like, if you're competing with the big dogs and you're a smaller dog, you got to beat them somewhere.
100%.
You got to do the same quality for a less price till you get in and get established. And then after that house, that was over on Tether Trail in Barton Hills. And what's so crazy about that is there was this beautiful view of the Greenbelt out back. And I was like, dude, this is it. I was like, I'm going to fucking live here no matter what. And now I live in Barton Hills on the Greenbelt because of that house, doing another spec home on Tether Trail, have like 4 or 5 others all around the area. But that house, finishing it, then it garnered those types of jobs. Then I had 2 or 3 other like big projects, and then the snowball just.
Would you say that when you started doing these jobs in this neighbor in 04, essentially people would see that? Would you get a bunch of referrals from that as well?
Yeah, and you know what's funny though is like, I wouldn't say a bunch, because like when you get in the bigger pool, there's less fish, right? So like, you know, I wasn't getting the volume I was in like kitchens and baths, but if you get like 1 or 2 from that, it's massive. Yep. That's, you know, like 2 of those jobs is like double or triple the year that I had before, right? So yeah, and then your signs out front, and like you just become established in this area, and then lo and behold, our fucking office right out here. You know what I'm saying?
Not
like,
wild.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's that, you know, I know you're big on the law of attraction. You know, give them the little stars back
Well,
there.
lately it's not been working well for me, dude. I got wasps in my house. My Facebook got suspended. This is all within less than a week. I got in a car accident. A fender bender from behind. Found out yesterday shouldn't have any insurance. That's
No.
fine. Bro, I'm telling you.
What is up with you and like insects in your home?
3 things. Oh, and then my laptop got stolen. 4 things. Because you know it's 3 things and then a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on 4.
Oh, no,
That
now you're
can't
going
be
to do
good.
6 bad and 2 good.
So that can't be good. I'm just, you know, I'm sitting here like, what's about to happen next? I'm like driving all cautiously.
Are you?
Swear to God.
See, but that's it. You can't do that. You can't do. Once you start hesitating and driving cautious, you're letting those negative
Bro, I'm
thoughts
kidding.
run.
I'm running red lights to the office because I was late this morning. I was a joke. I don't care. Anyway, but that's cool. So like, let's break this down. Phase 1, you started buying some really small projects, 10, 20, 30K, remodeled them with the buddy, did it one by one, built the equity. had a small portfolio, did a cash out refi, leveraged that to then buy more real estate assets and keep building and building and building, obviously learning how to do the remodels along the way. And then that had your first set of your first portfolio that you could then show investors. And that's how you gained your first investor. Then that led to Tim Heil and them helping you. Y'all started a company together, you grew. Y'all had a couple of projects y'all did together. And then y'all got into Terrytown. Terrytown thing didn't work. So you're like, okay, now I'm going to maybe go back to doing the remodel stuff. Start small, $5,000 project, and it grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
And now you're at a point to where you grabbed the right projects at the right time. You won the award. That probably helps a lot.
Yeah.
And now you just have completely blown up in Central Austin, really in 78704. And now you're building $7-10 million fucking houses that I can't afford. Or sell as your listing agent. That's great.
Wait. Let's pause because I am so impressed right now. Your active listening, that was amazing.
Yeah, I know.
You were here listening. Look at you.
I wish
I thought you only knew how to talk.
I wish my girlfriend would have heard that.
I'm not sure you do as much active listening with her as you do with me, huh?
We can ask her.
Yeah, we'll probably have them on, I think, one day.
I think we're gonna
be a good one.
We're gonna do that soon.
The only thing that I wanted to add that was all great, and it just shows how like you start small and you end up somewhere larger.
Yep.
But the thing is, you just learn how to find the right people. When you have a job to do, it's very important that you just find the right person that can either show you the way or do it.
Yep.
So it's like you don't do this on your own. You have mentors in one hand to guide you, but then you have actual like tradesmen and architects and designers. So like you find the right people along the way, and you have to go through a bunch of the wrong people to find them.
The big thing about that, and is people, you either have it or you don't. You either are good at reading people or you are not. And it's really, really hard. It's very easy to pick the wrong person. But when you find the right person, you have to have that. You just have to have that skill set to be able to read that personality and understand that, like, hey, this guy has a good heart, right? Like,
but I'm really glad you brought that up too, because some people they're not naturally like born with that skill. I feel like I'm very good at that because I'm a people person, and I can get to know people fast. But I've been conned multiple times.
Same,
before.
100%.
I mean, it happens. Like someone, they can fool you, but if you're not good at that, my thing is like have no fear, because what you need to be good at is just learning from your mistakes.
That's right.
And not repeating it. Like if you're not good at reading people the first few times, then identify the red flags later after you've learned it.
Right.
The people what pisses me off is when they do it over and over and over, and it's like, dude, you're not good at reading people, and you're going to just keep making the same dumbass mistake over and over.
Right.
You can't let that happen.
Right.
But, you know, the other thing is like, don't let those scam artists get you down. It doesn't mean that you're bad or did anything wrong.
It's a learning lesson that you go from. Totally agree. I want to get into the YouTube thing, but we'll do that later because I know the YouTube was a huge catalyst to your growth.
Yeah.
The growth that you're in now, I would think.
Well, I think we could have a separate episode just talking about.
I think people want to know about the YouTube stuff. I do, because I want to do YouTube stuff. I mean, obviously we're doing these podcasts now, but I've never been the person that liked being on camera. I'm good at it, I think, but I've never liked being on camera.
But why? Why don't you like being on camera?
I don't know. For one, I didn't have the resources. You know, we got Derek over here staring at us. He was amazing.
Yeah.
But he's like.
Well, he's a perfect example.
But you can't find him.
But he's the perfect example of finding that person.
Yep.
When you find that person and you realize how badass they are, you fucking latch onto them as hard as you can.
John, go find me a Derek, okay? Let me know how that goes.
Well, I mean, you know, he's an irreplaceable guy.
Hey, you're welcome, Derek. I'm such a nice guy. I know.
But there's other people out there, and the other thing is, I saw potential in Derek. Like he was good where he was at, but I mean, what he does is he gets better and better and better and better. So you don't need to find a Derek. You need to find a younger person that can evolve into a Derek,
Sure.
and that will suit your needs too.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, yeah, we could quickly go over. Like I think that was just a turning point where like the thing is, you have to like let people know who you are. Like, what do they say? Like 7 times they need to see your brand before they're going to make a jump. So it's like, especially in construction, I can't carry this home with me. You know what I mean? It's like, I want people to see what we're doing and why it costs what it does, and like also show the trials and tribulations we go through. A lot of people, they're like, oh, no, only show the good stuff. People will think I'm not good if I show them making mistakes. And it's like, no, that's not true. I'm showing you that mistakes are made and I'm ending up with a perfect product.
Yep.
And then what's crazy is so many people were like, man, I just loved seeing all the shit you go through. I didn't know that. And then investors saw and they were like, wow, this guy actually really knows what he's doing, you know? And they see that I'm doing $3 and $4 million houses. They're like, this guy has the moxie to do 10 and 12 plus $1 million houses. And they believe in me. And then we start buying properties together, right? And it's like, so I think the thing for everyone is like, in this day and age, dude, content is king. And it's kind of like cheesy and like, it can feel really narcissistic. And I feel like that's why, like, you know, despite how like douchey you dress, you're a pretty humble guy. Like, you don't want to be like, you don't want to make it all about you. You're very selfless and you're giving to a lot of people, but it's totally okay. Like sometimes people just want to see like what you're up to. Like sometimes when you show someone a struggle and they like admire and want to get to where you're at, it makes them feel more comfortable that you're human. Like you're actually helping other people in that way.
If you're doing video content around that specifically, totally agree. I can't stand all the people doing all the dances and oh my God, you're starting to get me started. My hairs go up.
But see, that's the thing is there's.
But I'm not going to do that.
I know, but that's the thing is there's. You're like, I will resort to that if I need to. But that's the thing, is there's always someone that you're looking at like, like I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
Just don't be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, I'll give it to Derek. He gave me a lot of confidence to like just shoot. He's like, dude, let's just do it. And like any ideas he came up with, I was always game for, but it was like knowing that he believed in me was like really cool, you know?
Right.
And then you get the positive feedback loop there, like of what you put out. You also get a negative loop, and sometimes people don't like certain things, and you just kind of pivot.
Yep.
But the other thing is like, everyone's like, God, like if I do a video, it's like permanent, it's out there forever, and it's like, as long as you're not doing something like completely lewd and outrageous
You're
and
gonna watch it one
racist,
time and probably be done.
yeah, and it gets buried, and it's
Yeah.
like just put out stuff, be genuine, and like just work your ass off. You have to be so consistent. YouTube is a grind, dude. Just to get monetized,
100%.
you need 4,000 watch hours.
Yeah,
That's insane. You know, so we have 2 monetized channels, but even so, it's like growing them. Like they say, the growth to like 10,000 is such a beast, and then it starts really snowballing.
Yeah.
So that's really what we're trying to get
That's
to.
what I want to do. That's what I'm trying to do. Is that?
Yeah, but you need to be doing a lot.
That's
more
what I'm
than
doing
you're
right
doing.
now as we speak, John. But I know I need to be getting more out there. I just need to hire Derek and not tell you about it.
I'd like to.
I'm not fucking on my current situation.
I'm kidding.
Going together.
We'll talk.
He's not gonna cheat on Daddy, dude.
No, I know he's not.
You can go and flirt with my girl as much as you want, man. She's got a happy home.
Let's end it there. I don't want to get too
Well,
much into the YouTube.
Man, thank you so much for going into my stuff. And
Yeah, of course.
It's cool because it just makes me reflect on like where I came from and like just thinking that like I remember thinking so much of that was like impossible. Like looking at like the modern Victorian before I started, I'd be like, what the fuck is that?
I remember going to that house for the first time. I was like, John fucking built this. And then I walked in and you were so like detail oriented. Like, remember the fireplace thing? I don't even know what you call that, where it was like doing this. And you're like, oh, this is called
the miters and the chamfers.
miter. I'm like, shut up, John. But those are really cool things I had no clue about. I'm just giving you shit. But that house was absolutely, obviously it was beautiful. It was all over everywhere. It was,
yeah, and dude.
The house went viral, so.
Yeah, and like the thing is, man, like we're in a spot right now where this next wave is absolutely monumental. Like the houses that we are about to do, there's some that we're building a couple for clients that'll probably be like $20 million when they're done. And they're gonna be fucking monsters. They might take 2-3 years to build.
That's insane.
But we're super excited, and
Yeah,
multiple
you should be.
spec homes, and
You should be.
obviously the office and everything. And it's just cool to be in here with you with like this contagious vibe, and like it's just been like awesome and like how fucking full circle
It's so weird.
with like where we met in my first gig in Austin, and then we're back together.
You were a big nobody. I was an inside sales. I was an inside sales agent for Tim. Like, there was the first inside sales agent making cold calls all day.
I know.
And now look at us. Look at us now. Well, cool. All right, man.
Awesome, dude.